What is wrong with this ninja? Lamont groaned, throwing his hands up in mock exacerbation. Grimy, you're a rap star. You've never effed a white itch? First of all, Witchy is standing right there. You know, that's a dude who we call Liar Cohen. You gonna talk about a white itch? And Liar Cohen right there, he old white ninja? That's crazy. I would be insulted. I would be like, if I was with you, I'd be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What's wrong with a white itch? I came from a white itch. I'm hungry, he'd said. So am I, she'd responded, not looking up from her copy of Hola magazine. What's for dinner? He'd made the mistake of pressing. I don't know, she'd said, peering at him over the top of the magazine with a look of utter confusion. What? When he suggested she cook something, she screamed like a banshee. I'm pregnant. What did they have in common, really? Alonzo thought their son was a blessing from God. Vanessa looked upon motherhood as a noose slowly tightening around her exquisite neck. Alonzo was a reformed bad boy who'd grown out of his hard partying ways. Vanessa continued to live the life of a rich, unencumbered, socially connected 22-year-old. Alonzo kept imploring her to quit abusing that shit for everyone's sake. But that shit was the only thing that kept her from confronting the grim reality that she was someone's wife and someone's mother, and therefore expected to act as such. They did have one thing in common, a love of rough sex. That and the fact that they looked so damn good together was enough to keep the marriage intact for the time being. Dressed in skin-tight white Frankie B jeans, sans panties, stiletto boots, and a fur chubby over a sheer white camisole, Vanessa struck a pose and waited for Mustafa's usual assessment. Perfect, baby, he cooed. She snorted a line of booger sugar. Mustafa followed suit. Then they both donned their shades and were off without a word of farewell to Lupe or Pedro. Listen. She want to live her life as a party girl forever, but she had to secure her future, okay? The same way a regular bitch think that if she get pregnant by somebody and have that baby, that she good, like them basketball wives, then they're good. That lady Vanessa had to secure the bag, and the bag was marrying the dude who she found as a regular and having a baby by the regular. That Vanessa, she gonna be a piece of work, y'all. Take it off, Nessa, Witchy shouted. It was 1 a.m. and heaven was fire hazard crowded. DJ Billy, a rail-thin Japanese girl with long multicolored pseudo dreads, was spinning. People didn't really dance at heaven. There was no actual dance floor. The chosen few who made it inside just sat in their seats and bounced rhythmically, waving their hands in the air or shouting out song lyrics. Sometimes, usually very late in the evening, an intoxicated girl would climb up on a table and gyrate clumsily. Tonight, Vanessa de la Cruz was that girl. With each off-balance shimmy, the straps of her silk and laced camisole slipped further down her sweaty shoulders. Girl, don't you know you somebody's wife? Okay. But because she really didn't want the ninja in the first place, because he wasn't the type of rich dude that she typically dated, but because he wasn't exactly her type, she ain't respect him. And she don't respect him. MC Grimy, TLE's 27-year-old star, arrived. Lamar had asked him to stop by after his session at a nearby recording studio so they could have a meeting about his still untitled sixth album. Grimy felt more comfortable in his Bronx neighborhood than in the midst of this A-list madness. Hold on, this girl around here shaking her ass on a table in front of her brother-in-law? He was anxious to get back to his regular habitat, which was sitting in his Escalade lost in a fog of chocolate tie. After peeping the overly trendy crowd out front for members of his posse, the Dirty Dozen, who were riding with him, decided they'd be better off blazing in the truck. A known celebrity, Grimy had no problem getting through. There were actually pearly gates outside the club and a woman wearing angel wings who was sitting on a high stool with the godlike power to admit or deny entrance to all who approached. "Where's Monty at?" Grimy asked, taking a seat with Lamar's crew at their banquet. Intently watching Vanessa's performance, no one answered. A minimalist compared to his hip-hop colleagues, Grimy wore no diamonds, eschewed flashy labels, and kept his hair buzzed tight, always dressed entirely in black as he was tonight. Jeans, logoless hooded sweatshirt, and work boots. He appeared to be in a perpetual state of mourning. In a way, he was. He had 2 tattoos, a black teardrop under each eye. One was in honor of his late suicidal mother. The other for his brother, a hemophiliac who'd survived numerous hospital stays only to be stabbed on the street where he'd bled to death within minutes. Grimy got his record deal a month later. Grimy had spent his formative years in and out of jail for small-time crack dealings. Okay, let me say what this book gives that a lot of bad movies don't. Speaking of the Tyler Perry, this book gives you insight on the character. It gives character development. This book is beautifully written. Tyler Perry, if the lady wasn't, deceased, I would say, go get this bitch so she can help you write something good. Because that crap that be on BET and Netflix should be on the too. Grimy had spent his formative years in and out of jail for small-time crack dealing. He told interviewers when he actually showed up to do press and felt like answering their silly questions that the time he spent lyrically battling other inmates in the joint had helped him sharpen his rhyming skills. Lot of talented MFers in there, he said, just fell short. A ruffian of the first order, one with 140 IQ. He regarded studio gangsters, included his label mate, Floss, with more pity than contempt. A lot of ninjas in this industry, and I ain't naming no names, get caught up trying to be something they ain't just to sell records. Word on the Jesus. Lamar's thug genius had told Rolling Stone, "I don't do that. I am a rapper, not an actor. I never knew my father. My mother killed herself when I was 15. My brother got killed a few years later. My reality is gritty enough. I've done wrong in my life selling drugs because people told me that was all I could do right. I've been locked up in a real prison. So don't send me no video treatment where you got me rapping in a jail cell. There's nothing glamorous about that. I got a second chance. So don't take me back there, not even to pretend. I don't need to pretend. I don't need to romanticize shit. You know who that reminds me of? That Kendrick Lamar. I've been locked up in a real prison, so don't send me no video treatments where you got me rapping in a jail cell. There's nothing glamorous about that. I got a second chance, so don't take me back there, not even to pretend. I don't need to pretend. I don't need to romanticize shiz. Everybody's worried about going platinum, being better, hotter, richer than the next man. But when you're number one, ain't nowhere to go but down. I don't sweat the charts. And I don't check sales figures. If you want to buy my shit, cool. If not, don't worry about me. I'm going to be all right. If that ain't the Kendrick Lamar attitude, I don't know what it is. And Kendrick Lamar didn't come out until after this book was written. Would they say same toilet, different shit? Or same shit, different toilet? Mustafa was pulling Vanessa down from her makeshift stage when Lamont returned and spotted his multi-platinum seller. He approached wearing a proud smile, arms spread wide, and bellowed, "My thug genius." DJ Billy spotted Grimy and threw on Buckshots, the hit from his second album that included a chorus of nothing but gunshots. The bullet-popping intro startled a few of the older clubgoers not familiar with the record. I can dig it! Nate, Lamont's buddy and lawyer, gleefully noticed some of them almost died for cover. "Where you been?" Daryl asked as Lamont slid down next to Grimy. "You missed Vanessa's little show. Thought we was going to get a titty flash. That is somebody's wife." She don't know it though. It didn't surprise Lamont. His sister-in-law was a wild thing and her attention-seeking stunts never stopped. Alonzo needed to kick her ass and he made a mental note to tell Zoe that. At any rate, her titties were old news. He'd seen them poolside, peeking out flimsy tops during runway shows in European magazines, etc. He'd go over and make his disapproval known to her in a minute. Right now, he had a story to tell. "Titty flash," Lamont said, a devilish grin forming. "I got more than that in the bathroom." Nothing more specific needed to be said. Lamont was known to be an ardent fan of the blowjob. Wait a minute, where we get here? Terribly germ-phobic, he wouldn't have unprotected intercourse with a woman until he'd sent her to his own doctor for an HIV test. BJs were a way to immediately satisfy his carnal craving with only a quick spot check of the mouth area to rule out any visible sores. Since his actual predilection was well known on the party circuit, women who enjoyed giving such pleasure often approached him out of nowhere. Who knew there were so many? Who knew? Are they going to get paid when you go in the bathroom with him? Is he going to give you some money? Or are you just doing that because you just want to say that you gave it to the Lamont? What did Lamont give you, girl? Is she crazy? Where are all these Monica Lewinskys coming from? Are these bitches crazy? Damn, Witchy said. Who from? They all immediately began scanning the room. Her, Lamont said, nodding toward an attractive woman in her early 30s who was making her way through the crowd with a pink top. Grimy's eyes canvassed the room. Whether performing or hanging with his boogie-down Bronx dogs, Grimy's ruggedly handsome face usually took on one of three expressions: rage, disinterest, or temporary weed-induced calm. Unless performing, he spoke in a flat monotone as though backing his words with any emotions was an arduous task he was not up to. But when he located the woman in question, his eyes flashed and he nearly shrieked. That old white bitch? Baby, wait, pause. You mean to tell me these Negroes, including Witchy, is in the club scanning the room for someone who would go in the bathroom with them and give them, pleasure? And and they would say, come here, and them bitches would give it to them. And I know you like, Nate, stop being stupid. It happened all the time. I'm not saying it don't happen all the time. What I'm saying is that these hussies are doing it for free. She was waiting outside the bathroom when I came out, Lamont said. The guys all huddled around to hear the details over the thump of the music. I've met her before. Amy, I think her name is. She pushed me back in, locked the door. She just pulled my shiz out. Never said a word. Did she swallow? Which you begged to know. Worshipful of Lamont's brazenness and wondering why things like this never happened to him. Yes, Lamont happily confirmed. Yes, she did. So Grimy inquired hesitantly, "You F with white itches? What is wrong with this, ninja?" Lamont groaned, throwing his hands up in mock exacerbation. "Grimy, you're a rap star. You've never effed a white itch?" First of all, Witchy is standing right there. You know, that's a dude who we call Liar Cohen. You gonna talk about a white itch? And Liar Cohen right there, he old white ninja? That's crazy. I would be insulted. I would be like, if I was Witchy, I'd be like, whoa. What's wrong with a white itch? I came from a white itch. Grimy stared at him blankly. Not even D-suck? Grimy shook his head. "Nah, I don't get down like that." Grimy. Lamont moaned dramatically. "You gotta get out more, ninja. Try new things." A low chuckle rumbled around the table. "Grimy, you're kidding me, right?" Grimy shook his head. "But you've been all over the world on tour," Lamont yelled, trying to understand how this could have happened. "You've been to London, Germany, Japan, ... Grimy shrugged. "Are you telling me," Lamont smirked, "that you go to all these countries and do not sample their cuisine?" "Wherever I'm at, they find me the black chicks," Grimy explained of his posse's international system of rounding up girls for his pleasure. Pause. "That's why Diddy is in trouble. You better find you a girlfriend. Stuff like this get ninjas locked up. You randomly sleeping with girls. How do you know 1 out of them 20 meets that you screwed on that trip to Jamaica won't scream, 'He raped me'?" Grimy explained of his posse's international system of rounding up girls for his pleasure. Lamont squinted at him. "What are you, prejudiced?" Grimy almost grinned. Feeling right at home as the center of attention, Lamont continued to milk this riff for the crew's assessment. "I was with you in Japan, ninja," he pressed, lapsing into full-on ebonics because his bit would sound funnier that way. "There ain't no black itches over there. Not unless they was on vacation. And those cute little Japanese honeys were hopping around you like you was a museum piece. All you had to do was sit there and let one of them hop on your ick. You didn't get none of that, did you?" "Did you?" Grimy wondered. Lamont gaped at him with widened eyes, pretending to take offense, and slipped back into urban sophisticated mode. "I'm an international effing playboy, money. Of course I got some. You get one with real long hair, it feels like silk. They'll brush it all over you. Their skin's all soft. I'm talking totally hairless, man. They're so tiny you can just flip them every which way." Lamont paused to add a visible shiver of excitement for effect. "It's the shiz." Everyone cracked up except Grimy, who turned up his nose unimpressed. "I don't like sushi." That made everyone howl, but it was Lamont's instant comeback that slayed them. "How would you know, ninja? You ain't never tried it, the women or the actual food." Nate chimed in. "Grimy's that ninja that goes to Japan and eats lunch and dinner at McDonald's every day." Grimy confirmed this conjecture with a nod and added, "Breakfast, too." "You've been around the world 3 times over," Lamont said, shaking his head. "But you are one local MFer. Seriously, kid, you need to educate your palate in more ways than one." Grimy looked lost. Educate his what? He leaned back into the booth as a flamboyantly dressed man pranced by as if the outfit itself were contagious. Lamar threw his arm around Grimy's shoulder and pulled him in closer. You want to know the best thing about all these white women in here? Lamont scanned the room and cackled at the punchline before he even delivered it. None of them want to marry us.